Hello everyone and welcome to Hunter Garage, a Hunter Reckoning Chronicle, and today we're gathering for our session 0. We actually had some little prep beforehand where we were exchanging character ideas and we were talking a little bit about the considerate play and how we want to proceed with these sessions. So this is not our first gathering, but today we're actually going to flesh out our characters, partially in character role-playing and partially just meddling with our sheets. We're using Tabletop Simulator with some custom things that I'm going to share separately with everyone watching. The sheets that you can see in here were prepared by Dudeboy777 on Steam, so thanks Dudeboy, and they're based on Mr. Stump's template, so thank you for that. And I am joined by 4 wonderful characters and the players behind them. Can I ask you very quickly for a little introduction of yourself and your character, starting with Goldie, played by Hadi.
Hi, I'm Hadi. Or Hadi von Schland. I'm a community ambassador for World of Darkness. And today I'm playing Goldie Sullivan, a person who's from South Boston who is now gonna be a hunter, I guess.
Nice. And what about Ripley, played by Galdor?
Hi, I'm Galador. I'm also a community ambassador, and I play Ripley, a character with a less than pleasant background.
That's a little bit of a secret in there. All right. What about Riot, played by Vin?
Hi guys, I'm Vin at VinVox VA. I'm a voice actor and tabletop performer, and I'll be playing Riot. She's a riot.
Love that. And finally, Miles, played by Snake.
I'm Snake. I'm a variety streamer slash writer. I play Miles Frazier, a Staten Island native who has a twin brother and an inquisitive mind.
I see. Well, with that in mind and that very secretive little info that you have now about these characters, I guess we're going to roll and start our story. And the story begins somewhere. Every World of Darkness story begins somewhere. Usually it's a dark alley or maybe a bar somewhere at the edge of a city, maybe a skyscraper with some super fancy office, kind of a thing that you may remember from Vampire the Masquerade. But very usually when we think about the beginning of World of Darkness story, we think about night. Middle of the night, darkness, no sun on the horizon. And this time it's going to be a little bit different because it's 5 p.m., still pretty sunny, the weather is super nice. We're on Staten Island and you're not together actually, you're quite separated from each other. The place that you are is not physical per se. I mean, of course, you are all in your own physical places with a blue light emitting screen in front of you. It can be a tablet, a PC, a smartphone, maybe a laptop. But where you virtually are is a Discord server. A quite empty Discord server, nothing in the chats, no rooms except for #general, something that seems to be just made. And on the user list, we have 5 names. And the name on the top says Kendra. It seems like someone is typing. You wait a bit, and the message appears. It is a message from Kendra. Can you see me typing? I think it works. Thank you all for joining. It wasn't easy, but here we are. It's so good to have you all here. I'm so happy that I was able to make this work. Goldie, I know I could always count on you. The messages seem to be a little bit haphazard, written with double exclamation marks instead of 3 or just a singular one. Kind of like an old person typing. And on the online list on the right side, right below Kendra, we have Goldie. Or actually, Goldie Dewey. How would you be called on Discord and what would be your avatar?
Goldie's avatar would be probably just a punching bag, nice Everlast punching bag, and probably be called Hot mama.
Hot mama. All right. Well, Kendra seems to know that Hot Mama is Goldie, as she's directly referencing to you in the chat. How did you exactly land up in here? I do know that you, Goldie, you're friends with Kendra, aren't you?
Yeah, we go back a few years.
All right. So there was a discussion being held, and Kendra gave you or texted you a link to the Discord. Was there something that happened? Maybe a conversation between you that triggered this?
Yeah, I probably talked to her about what's been going on with Vicky.
I see, with Vicky. Well, as soon as the message towards Goldie is being sent, Kendra keeps on typing. Ripley, you have no idea how glad I am to see you here. How did you land up in this chat exactly, Ripley?
I feel like Kendra probably invited Ripley after Ripley reached back out.
I see.
It's been quite a few months since they last spoke.
Is this place that you were like willingly joining, or something that you felt forced to join?
Coaxed.
I see. Riots, Kendra continues. I know we don't know each other very well, but we're all here to make situations like yours never happen again. And Riot, Kendra reached out to you earlier through email, and you didn't know that person very well. You maybe heard about her. She's kind of like a person that is known in the community of Staten Island, community worker. And in this email, she told you that someone that went through a very similar thing as you has reached out to her and told you that you were in a similar situation. And Kendra only wanted to help and sent you a link to the server as a place where you can find this help. Riot, did you join the server with what kind of emotions? Was it something that you really wanted to do, or were you just very suspicious about the situation?
Yeah, erring on the side of suspicion. There's a lot of back and forth, and I'm pretty sure they gave it a couple days before finally just taking the plunge and giving in.
See. Ripley, important. What is your nickname on the server and your avatar?
They probably still use Ripley.
Mm-hmm.
And the avatar is a dark figure, which looks like a soldier down a corridor.
Mm-hmm. All right. And Riot, what about you?
I think their username would be Riot, and then the avatar is a crying cat meme with a birthday hat on.
That's wonderful. Perfect. And now Kendra is typing another message to the last person on the list. But before we are going to establish what exactly Kendra is writing, we're going to go back to our little tabletop simulator screen where we are all at the table. And Miles, I have to ask you about what exactly has happened to your brother. And could you tell me about the situation of when you found your brother on that very day?
It was an evening, probably not too far in the past, after an argument with my brother Christopher, and something seeming not right at the end of it. The call ended abruptly, so I went over to his home in Staten Island. After a bit of sleuthing around, I found that there was a scuffle and found his body in the alley, torn to shreds.
Torn to shreds, you said. Well, that's a lot. And I guess you would try to do what with the body? What was your approach to dealing with it?
Well, my first instinct was to call the police. My second was to investigate a little bit. The wounds didn't seem like anything that made sense. Like, it didn't seem like a mugging or an attack or even a traditional animal attack. The wounds were so severe. So after a bit of hemming and hawing in my brain, I decided to, before calling the police, going through his things, try to find out what exactly happened. Went through his cell phone, found his laptop, which thankfully was still unlocked.
As you browse through his laptop, you do find tab open in Chrome, which has his email open. So you don't actually have to unlock anything to get into it. And there is a recent message, which is being opened right now, that he was apparently reading as one of the last things he'd done on this PC. You can find this message in the green bag on the screen. If you want to take it off and read it to us, that would be great.
Dear Mr. Fraser, we're glad you've decided to join us in our crusade to make the sun shine. This message is a confirmation of our agreement, order number CH53160, date 04-08-2022, regarding the lease of coronal halo/analyzing oscilloscopic electromagnetic differential reader. Our equipment leasing program allows you to use this device freely, as long as special materials are provided by the user during each lease period. Please make sure to deliver the special materials to the attached address by 29/09/2022 to meet the requirements for this lease period. Special materials involve any substance produced, excreted, and/or emitted by an unusual entity, affected, altered, and/or modified by an unusual entity, identified as the part or the entirety of a neutralized unusual entity. Should you not provide us with the special materials by the given date, you will be invoiced $63,899, Crusader discount, TM, price to ship or plus shipping. In case of any questions, please use the help bot available on our website. Best, Alice Larkov, Customer Service Specialist, Monster X.
All right. What would be your reaction to this message? Anything immediate or just leaving it behind?
First thing would be to run a Google search on Crusade to Make the Sunshine.
You cannot actually find this particular phrase online, but if you would look for Monster X, you can find plenty of details on the company, which is a provider in terms of a lot of the technological devices and new formulas. And the page seems to be a little bit vague, but it seems like they have a lot of pretty high-standing clients. You do recognize plenty of logos they have on their website as partners.
I would probably run a search on his email to see if there's any more correspondence.
You cannot really see anything more, except for the actual delivery details about the device which is mentioned in this letter. And that delivery happens, as you can see, in the early August, which was about 2 weeks ago. And you do recall a pretty big package coming to your brother at that time. You're not really sure what was inside the package, though.
I would probably go to the least. I assume he has a basement of some kind. If not, I would search his bedroom. Try to find anything hidden.
The most private place that he was never allowing you into, nor anyone else, was his work van that he was using for his professional endeavors, whatever they were. So if you checked his basement, his room, you wouldn't really find anything that suspicious. But once you would check out the van, which I'm sure that you would do at some point, you would discover quite an unusual device, which actually was installed on the roof of this van, and some very weird and complicated instruction manual inside. But we're going to get back to that. We don't have to worry about this today. One thing that we have to worry about is other things that you found. And do keep this in mind. And keep in mind the fact that his phone was also available to you. You could see the recent messages. And the most recent messages were from a contact called Kendra. Maybe you've heard about Kendra, maybe you haven't. A community worker in Staten Island who has been quite known in the community, speaking with the local newspapers, appearing in media a lot, trying to fight for the general good cause of the local area. And you may know that your brother was hanging out with Kendra aplenty, but the recent messages are a little bit weird. They state that Kendra really needs the help of your brother, and your brother is not very eager to offer that help to her, listing the reasons of this being a threat to her family, not wanting to get her involved, and all of the potential ways that your brother would try to discourage her from pursuing this plot. Kendra was very insistent, and in the end, she sent your brother a link to a Discord server, asking him to join. Miles, once you join the server, once you click on this link, do you pretend to be your brother, or do you join as Miles?
I would join using Christopher's credentials.
I see. So what would be your nickname and avatar?
Nickname would probably be CF2467. Avatar would just be a black box.
I see. Well, Christopher, I'm so glad we will be able to use your expertise in this. You're such an asset, and I'm sure that with your help, we can help everyone present and more people on Staten Island. Before we'll go forward with Kendra's messages, does anyone interject? Does anyone type something in the chat? Or is everyone silently waiting for more?
Goldie would be waiting.
At the very least, Riot would just do reactions to Ripley's message. Not Ripley, I'm sorry. Kendra's messages.
Just thumbs up, or what kind of reactions?
Just thumbs up.
Does anyone else click on the thumbs up?
Ripley would.
What about you, Miles? Do you even know Discord? How familiar you are with this technology?
Probably 0.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very much trying to learn it as I go. I think I would wind up clicking the thumbs up just to see what it did at one point.
So you click it in and then click it out, trying to see. Okay. Well, as everyone seems to be silent, not very eager to join the discussion, Kendra is continuing without any question. I've invited you all here because you've all seen, witnessed, or experienced something different, something supernatural. If everyone feels comfortable with this, we may begin by sharing a bit to get to know each other better. And I can start. My childhood home was haunted. The whole family knew it, and eventually we moved because of this weird presence in our house, but the memory stood. It was a lovely home, but we never were anything more than just guests there. It felt like it belonged to someone else. I meet kids who claim the same during our counseling sessions. Their parents, they don't believe them, and more often than not, it's not really supernatural in nature, maybe a sign of another problem, but in some cases, it's not. Because I visit the houses, I can feel the presence. I wouldn't say that to anyone, but I trust you. I feel like we can connect here. And there's more. some young adults I take care of at work, they've been recently showing symptoms. I believe it to be drug use at first, but I don't know, there was definitely an element of addiction included, some initial health loss, apathy, but then it's like they were becoming invincible, strong, able to do things that are not natural, not human. It's hard to describe. Goldie, can you help me here?
Yeah, I think Goldie would have already interjected at one point while the messages were coming in and just typed out, says, sounds like Vicky. And would go on to say that I never really believed in things that go bump in the night until Vicky. She was just a kid that you sent to me, Kendra, and she worked out in my gym, kept her off the streets. She was good, but then one night she comes in and she knocks my Everlast bag across the fucking room. I never seen nothing like that. I couldn't even do that, and I'm a 2-time champion. So, something's going on out there.
Ripley, do you share any story?
Ripley does not. They are just watching.
Just silently watching and not sharing anything. Alright, what about you, Riot?
Riot is definitely concerned because this could possibly be a hoax or a trick or just bait, and they're just gonna let the chat continue for now.
What about you, Miles?
Miles doesn't share any stories. He does ask, what exactly are you getting at here?
It seems to be a little bit of a pause before Kendra continues, but she finally says, I believe this group here, we are capable of starting something special. I know how it's like. I want to trust the police. I want to trust the officials to do their good job, but I don't. They haven't been. It's been always a struggle. And I really want to make a change on Staten Island. I see people falling to whatever is out there. And people don't believe me when I try to tell them that this is something more than just drugs or gangsters and stuff. I know that you know that there's something more in there. And maybe if we all gather our information together, if we put them on the plate here on this Discord thing, maybe we can get to some conclusions. Find a way to fight it. Fight them. And there's a pause.
Them? Question mark.
Whoever is out there, I've been... With Goldie, we've seen what happens to the kids out there, to the young adults that they are in trouble, and there are people or things out there which are actively taking advantage of them, and it's not normal people. Okay, let's just put it all aside. I am not using these words because I am afraid of people not treating me seriously. But the words that keep on coming to my mind are there vampires out there? Are there ghosts out there? Are there other things out there that we don't know about? Is there something supernatural going on in Staten Island? And if so, can we find it together? Or maybe I am going somewhere. Maybe I am going crazy.
Goldie would jump in. You're not going senile, Kendra. There's something wrong in the borough.
Do other people think the
Right.
same way?
Riot drops the eyes emoji.
The eyes emoji. Just that. Kendra seems to pause typing now. If you think about it, it seems like she feels a little bit discouraged.
And I think once that mood has been recognized, Riot finally just, like, from their perspective, they just sigh and type. Are you all serious? Have we been fucked one way or another? Question mark, eyes again.
I am very serious. I cannot be more serious. This is my life now. This has been my life for the past few months, and I've been trying to find help. And Christopher, maybe you can help me. You're dealing with these things on a daily basis, nightly basis. You've told me about it. Can you... I'm sorry, I don't want to put you on the spot. It's probably a bad idea.
I've told you before that this, all of it, it's above your pay grade. You do good work. You've done good work for years. But this may be above all of us.
Goldie will type in, then whose pay grade is it?
Theirs.
Ripley will type in, can we meet in person?
Please, PLZ.
I feel like it might be more dangerous to meet in person than meet here. But I don't know technology that much. Is this safe?
Let's be real, is anything safe?
Fair point. But let's try to get to know each other a little bit better first. As much as I contacted you all because I do want to do this for real, I want to start something, I am still not sure if we're all in the same place. And she'll leave 3 dots. And this is where the conversation will try off. We are now going to talk for real. Kendra might not be the person that will get that information from you, but I, the storyteller, will. And we're going to go through the things that made you land on the server, for real. The things that maybe you wouldn't share with Kendra, but that they happened to you. Starting with you, Goldie. Could you tell me what, very briefly, if you don't want to share too much information just yet, but what was your first introduction to the supernatural?
I think Goldie's pretty much an open book. No reason not to be. No real experience with the supernatural for going on 50 years. But she's got a gym, boxing gym in Staten Island. And along with Kendra, she takes in some kids sort of heading down the wrong path in life, so to speak, and gives them an outlet to let out their aggression, or if they got a bad home life, whatever it may be. And she took a particular interest in one girl, Vicky, excellent boxer. But something strange happened. Suddenly she's coming in and she's faster, stronger, more agile. It was beyond something that drugs could do, beyond something that steroids or performance enhancers could do. Something was wrong. And Goldie took it upon herself to go follow her. And what she saw was not anything that she could really describe. She's not accurately anyway. She saw Vicky drinking blood out of someone's wrist. And then Vicky didn't come back for a while after that. When she did come back, she didn't remember anything. She didn't. And she wasn't so strong nor fast no more.
Well, when that first awakening happens. Awakening of your drive. What feeling did you feel, Goldie? What was the feeling that overwhelmed you? And this is going to lead us to establishing your drive as hunter. What drives you to pursue the hunt?
Much as Goldie said that she was an open book, she definitely wouldn't admit to this without a little provocation, but she was a little jealous. She was a little envious, you might say, of Vicky's sudden strength and agility and all that loss of her own strength and power. Made her real curious.
Well, there is a sheet in front of you, and in the drive fields, by the way, everyone can write your names, the character names on the sheets. And in your drive, you can write envy, because this is going to be the drive that drives you towards the hunt. You have drive right up there. That would be your envy. And an important thing that unlocks right now for you is the redemption. The redemption is something that you have to do in order to get out of despair. So if you land in despair anytime during the hunt, you lose the connection to your drive, to what drives you to being a hunter. And in order to get back to it, you need to get into Quarry's good graces or procure samples of the source of your power. So you can shorten this in any form. It can be get powerful for a monster or get into the Quarry's good graces, but that's what you will have to do in order to fight this spy in the game, which will be fun.
Understood.
All right, and now Ripley, what was your first connection to the supernatural?
When they were a kid, they had a friend group. The most important person in the group was Grace. That was their best friend. They, being kids that believed in creepy things on the internet, decided to check out a haunted place and found more than they bargained for.
I see. And what did you feel when that happened? What was the feeling that overwhelmed you in the first contact in Supernatural and stewed as you started to get adjusted to the fact that this is true, this is the reality?
It was fear. It was fear above all else, but interest and curiosity grew, and they eventually went down a path in a way that made them lose Grace. Now they need to seek revenge.
So there are two ways that you can go in here. You could either go for curiosity as your drive or vengeance. So you either seek more information about the monsters or you seek revenge.
I will go with seeking revenge, as that fits them the best currently.
That's great. All right. On your sheet, you can write vengeance in the drive. And when it comes to your redemption, in order to get out of despair in the game, the cell must hurt the Quarry, either directly or via proxy. A very straightforward redemption to the drive. Miles, what was the first contact with the supernatural that you had?
Well, the thing that opened the door, so to speak, would be examining all of Christopher's belongings after his death, like finding his notes, his equipment, all of it. Before that, it would have been dealing with Christopher, like while twins have been very much estranged for years, with Christopher exhibiting more or less traditional signs of addiction, like stealing money, getting into arguments, being secretive, that sort of thing. And for the longest time, Miles couldn't really figure out what was going on with his brother. He wouldn't tell him. And so it was through his death that he finally felt any sort of closeness to him. So in that, he decides to pursue the supernatural, the unnatural, to try to understand his brother more and to try to understand what happened to him.
So would you say that the drive that would fit your character the most would be curiosity, then?
Absolutely.
All right. You can put that down on your sheet. And when it comes to the redemption, in order to get out of despair in the game, the cell must uncover new information about the query, which is also pretty straightforward. So in the redemption, you can type it however you want. Gathering new information will fit. And now we go to Riot. Riot, what was your first contact with the supernatural?
Well, like most people, it was completely unaware. Riot is actually new to New York as a city and a state, and what started as a trip ended up being an extended stay. They were at a club or an event, some venue with a lot of bodies and people, and they encountered someone, and then it'd be multiple encounters and a little bit longer, and then just something wasn't right. Maybe people shouldn't be using your neck as a Capri Sun nights on out.
Well,
that's what happened to them.
So, as that happens, and the feelings regarding this awakens, regarding the fact that there is something supernatural out there and it's definitely trying to eye your neck very closely, what feelings woke up within you? What kind of a feeling dominated? Was it, I want to be like them? Or maybe, I hate them and I want them to die? Or maybe something else?
Oh, absolutely. This is awful. No one else needs to experience this. They need to die.
Well, would I be right at guessing that your drive would be vengeance then?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, you can type vengeance at your drive on the sheet. And the redemption, as we've mentioned already, is that the cell must hurt the query in order for you to get out of despair, which is going to happen probably aplenty as we play. So redemption would be hurting the query. Alright, and now we go back to Goldie. Question being maybe a little bit simpler than the previous one, but you tell me. So, what is your way of dealing with the supernatural? The drive is something that pushes you to do it, but everyone has a different way of actually doing it. What kind of abilities does Goldie employ on a daily basis? What is your forte, I can say?
Well, Goldie's forte is definitely strength. Has good athletics, can do a nice punch, dodge pretty well. But in her advancing age, she probably relies a lot on her gym for monetary things, and also on her garage. She's getting into fixing up cars, scrap metal, that sort of thing. Something she can do as her strength wanes.
By coincidence, we are right now in a garage. I'm just like showing it around. Well, this is going to determine your creed, which is basically the way you hunt, not the reason you hunt, but the way you hunt. And as an ex-boxer, you could definitely pick martial and go more for physical side of things, but I could also suggest going entrepreneurial in order to go more into ideas and coming up with things as you go, especially as you are a business owner. And so, yeah.
Had this happened 20, 30 years ago, Goldie would definitely have leaned in toward the martial, but she's not the boxer she used to be. So it's entrepreneurial all the way.
All right, and now we're going to actually do something quite interesting. What we're going to do is discuss the Desperation dice fields. So every single creed in the game has the dice fields attached to it, which specifically can be fueled during the times of desperation. And that's tied to the despair that comes up in the game. It also ties up to all those beautiful black dice that you have in here. We're going to get into the depths of the mechanics as we play. But this basically means that you can push yourself to the limits, doing these things because your creed allows you to do so. And for entrepreneurial, if you look at the page in the book and what it actually says at the dice fields, it says building, inventing, augmenting, or repairing while on the hunt. And now this may not seem to be that much fit for Goldie, but we're going to tweak it a little bit. We don't have to change anything. We don't have to homebrew anything in there, but we're going to interpret it a little bit differently to fit Goldie. Goldie, as a business owner, as more of a, maybe not corporate, but enterprise owner, kind of an entrepreneurial hunter, is going to invent new ideas during the hunts, augment the team to work better, use her leadership skills in order to make everyone work better on the hunt, and repair the relationships on the hunt. So when you will be doing these things, trying to talk with your cellmates, trying to convince them that this is the right way, or push them out of despair, push them out of the dark thoughts that may surround their heads during the hunts, you will be able to use the Desperation dice to fuel your rolls even more. Does that sound good?
That sounds great.
All right, so you can go for building, inventing, augmenting, or repairing, but we are going to not treat it as the hardware repairing, as the, hard tools, screwdrivers, but more of a social skills. All right, Ripley, what is your forte? What do you do in order to fight supernatural? How do you fight supernatural?
Their forte comes from their past and the training that they've already had. They are firearms oriented, tactics, moving through with leadership and things like this.
Sounds like pretty straightforward martial character. So, do you want to go for martial?
Yes.
Perfect. So this is going to be a bit easier. We don't have to reinterpret anything, really, because for the Desperation dice fields, so the moment you can push yourself, get those extra dice in order to roll super, super well, that's going to be a physical conflict while on the hunt. So anytime you will shoot, punch, fight, maybe climb or do some things that are more physical, athletic, that's when I will allow you to use more dice. Does it sound good?
Sounds great.
Perfect. Riot, what do you do? What is your way of approaching problems? And in this case, problems being supernatural.
Riot is very much face talking, gathering information, maybe getting their hands dirty in ways that most normal people wouldn't want to do, but they are very goal driven. So whatever it takes.
I see.
Even if it's smarmy.
So would you say that you would fit more into underground sort of a character?
Yes, absolutely.
Alright. Well, if you will go for underground, then your Desperation dice fields is going to be stealth and subterfuge in service of the hunt. So whenever you will try to be sneaky, and both physically sneaky and sneaky in the social conversations with others, I'm going to grant you extra dice if you will want to use your Desperation. And Miles, what about your way of approaching problems? How do you usually solve them?
Well, Miles, as Miles, is very, very analytically with a background in statistics. He's very much by the numbers. Tries to plot out his moves before he makes them. Miles as Christopher is a different story because Christopher is more of a bruiser. So he tries to embody that when he's masquerading as Christopher as best he can, but he still very much tries to employ the plot everything out before he does it mentality.
Would you say then that Miles' personal creed, the way how Miles will approach the hunt, even though it's fine if you want to masquerade as something else, would be inquisitive, trying to get information, trying to be the one who knows the most in order to both get the quarry first, but also to pretend to be Christopher the Best.
Absolutely.
All right, then your creed will be inquisitive. And for inquisitive, the desperation dice fields are gaining information while on the hunt, such as research, but also breaking and entering, and interrogation. So you can just write gaining information, and whenever you will do something in order to gain that information, even if it will be something more physical, I will allow you to use the desperation dice. All right, and now let's fill in the dots. The dots are quite straightforward. If you know Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition already, that's going to be pretty easy. If you don't, you do have a little bit of a help here on the table. Once you press Alt, you can actually just, go in on that in order to read about what exactly everything means on the sheet. This is, by the way, the character creation summary that is available for free from the Renegade site. So if anyone wants to grab it, you can just go to extra materials on Hunter from Renegade and download it. And when it comes to the attributes, I recommend to first start with what do you think is your biggest strength? And I'm not talking about strength, but what is your best attribute? So think about this one. What would be the best for each of you? And add 4 dots in that place. The second thing to think about would be, what are you the worst at? The worst attribute, the lowest one. And this one will have just 1 dot. We have Riot with that charisma. And a very low strength, I see that. Ripley with a very high resolve, that's cool. And very low manipulation. Or Ripley, you're not good at manipulating people, are you?
Unfortunately not.
But do you try sometimes? That's a good question.
Maybe.
Still try and probably fail. What about Goldie? Oh, Goldie's already filled. Perfect. Well, you can follow Goldie's example and grant yourself 3 attributes of level 3 and 4 attributes of level 2. So most of them will be at level 2, but 3 of them are going to be on level 3. So think about the things that you may be still pretty good at. 3 is a level definitely above the regular person. 1 is a level below the regular person. If you find like this average Joe that is just okay at everything, 1 would be less. 2 would be exactly that, average. 3 would be exceptional, with 4 and 5 just going into super high stats, per se. Let's see how does that willpower work in here. I think it actually did it automatically on these sheets that work wonderfully. Your health is your stamina plus 3. So I think in this particular case for Ripley, that would be 1 too much, isn't it? No, it isn't. Okay.
It autofills.
It autofills. Perfect. And willpower is your composure plus resolve. Your despair is non-existent, so you don't have to worry about that. And now let's talk about skills. And skills may be more of a difficult choice, but don't worry, there's no good pick or bad pick in skills in particular. So this little note tells you about the skill distribution. You can pick one of the 3. If you're a jack of all trades, you just know a lot of things, but you do not really know anything very well. Balanced is, you don't really have that much of a spread of the skills, but you're quite good at few things. While specialist is a great pick if you are someone that you really feel that your character focuses on one single skill and perfecting it for a long time. And this is the one where you get 1 skill at 4. You can pick whichever you feel fits your character and fill your sheet based on that. Actually, Goldie, are you done already?
Yes, I have a PDF right next to me of all the stuff I already wrote down.
Prepared. Amazing. All right. So let's see. You do not have any abilities that grant you automatic specialty, but I do allow you...
In athletics, I would have dodging. I think you can pick a specialty at 3.
Yes.
With
So
athletics.
you can definitely add specialty in here. I'm not sure if you can actually write it down there.
I don't think you can, no.
You can add in notes in the notes section on the second sheet. Oh, I see that Goldie is still having plenty of brawl in there. So in case something happens physically, Goldie is able to kick some ass, right?
Figure picked specialist of 20 years as a boxer, definitely knows how to throw a punch.
Amazing. And I do see plenty of awareness as well. I guess that's something that you worked out during your working in the gym and trying to, see how everyone is doing. Maybe trying to train some of the younger boxers.
Sure. And also in fights, got to be aware of where your opponent's going to be before they're there.
Interesting. I see no notes in medicine, so in case there was anything happening in the gym that required medical attention, you were calling someone else, right?
Obviously.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm ready. And I did swap manipulation and charisma because you tricked me.
I see. All right. So that means you are a balanced character, aren't you?
I am.
Not a lot of brawl, so for a martial character, you cannot really throw the punches, but you are focusing on them firearms and stealth, right?
Yes.
What is your gun of choice?
That's rough. I almost want to take a pistol, but I'm also a sucker for a sniper rifle.
We're going to figure out how would you have an access to the sniper rifle, because that's not, I assume, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's not that easy to obtain one.
It depends. Depends. I
Depends
do
on what
plan to
state
take
you're
a state, yeah. I plan to take a contact though.
All right. I'm going to trust you on this one because you know better, but you can pick one free specialty.
Yes, where would I write that though? In notes?
In notes, yes. So specialty is, you don't have to go by the book, but think about any particular skill that you have that you want to have a particular additional edge in. So let's say that if you were training sniper rifle the most, you would get the firearm sniper rifle specialty. And this way I would give you additional dice every time you shoot specifically with the sniper rifle. It can be also a specific location, a place, or the situation in which you would use the firearms in that regard. So for example, urban fights, urban warfare basically could be something that you are specialized in. And this way I would grant you additional dice to roll every time you are shooting in the urban environment. So that can be applied to every single skill and anything that you feel plays well with the backstory of your character.
I'm sitting between a quick draw and sniping. I'm thinking.
Quick draw wouldn't be easy with a sniper.
Oh no, they'll likely have a side weapon, right?
Yeah.
Ripley, are you stealthy?
Also stealthy, yeah.
I would say then that would be great for a sniper, honestly.
I know. It's rough.
And it would be super cool too.
Sneak up on somebody.
Sniping. And then the evil storyteller will always lock you in small contained spaces.
Always a small contained space. Ripley, Dex Athletics to crawl into the ceiling. To get a vantage point to snipe.
And we have to snipe inside. So you have to get mirrors and
bounce them off the wall. This is now the Matrix.
All right, you think about it, and I'm going to go to our other friends at the other end of the table, starting with Miles. Miles, how are you doing with your skills?
I think I have my spread the way I want it. It feels a little off. I'm trying to place it.
Well, definitely for the person that has a background in statistics and an inquisitive, curious hunter, I feel you kind of nailed down putting a lot of your dots on the right-hand side. You do also get a free automatic specialty for academics and science. So you'll be freely able to pick 2 additional specialties with that.
I guess specialty physics for science.
Mm-hmm. You can note it down in the notes section on the second side.
Maybe I should.
Oh, that works. The suggested specialties. Oh, wait, do you also get the one in finance? Oh, you wouldn't actually get a free specialty in there, but that's fine. 2 dots in finance already gives you, plus your intelligence definitely gives you a very good general dice pool for anything surrounding finance. From a personal finance to helping others to trying to decipher what the hell those bank transfers mean. You'd have a pretty good knowledge of all of these.
Sounds good. You said I get one in academics as well.
Only if you have
would that
at least
apply?
1
Okay.
dot. Yeah. So if you have at least 1 dot in academics, you can get 1 additional specialty. But with this setup, you still need 1 specialty, which you have. Oh yeah, then you have 2 specialties now. So academics. Let me give you a little background of which you can take there. Well, it can be history, journalism, philosophy, research, teaching, theology, anything specific that you were studying when you were at the university or college.
You said research?
Yes, research can be a specialty in academics.
That worked.
That's a very good one, actually. I think it's very widely applicable. And you do get 1 free specialty as well for any of the skills you have in here. This can be an additional one to the ones you've already have specialties in, but it can be also something for something completely different. For example, you can pick an insight specialty specifically towards specific people or situations. So insight towards people in distress. Maybe you are very good at empathy. Maybe for awareness, it's awareness in specific places or in under specific conditions. Maybe something for occult. Maybe you the advantage of your brother having a background as a hunter gives you a specialty here. You can pick anything.
Yeah, occult makes sense. I would love to play into the using my brother's notebook full of information on whatever may have killed him. I just don't know what that would be yet.
We're going to do something a little bit special here. We're going to add you a specialty monsters, but with the question mark. You're not going to know exactly what type of a monster did the thing, and I'm going to keep that in mind. All right? So
Sounds good.
I'm going to give you additional dice in researching that type of monster, but I'm not going to tell you which one it is. All right.
Perfect.
Great. And now, Riot, how are we looking?
We have dots in places.
Dots in places, hooray. Let me see if you have anything that gains you a free specialty. Academics, no. Craft, no. Performance, we do have a dot in there. So what kind of a performance is Riot a specialist at?
Is there a distinct way, say you're good with working with crowd?
Oh yeah, public speaking
A group setting.
Yeah, public performances basically.
Public relations.
Okay.
Public relations, yeah. That could be that too. It's
Yes.
basically like when you are in front of a lot of people, right? Or yeah, okay. And what about a free specialty? For subterfuge, which you have a lot of dots in, you could, for example, pick bluff, lying, playing innocent, passing as a ghoul, or passing as a vampire, maybe even for you. Long con, seduction. For persuasion,
Yeah, I was thinking seduction, but I
Oh,
really
yeah.
like playing a ghoul. That sounds like so much fun.
So you want to be able to pretend that you're a ghoul, and
Yeah.
it's going to be only working against vampires. So it's going to make your ability a little bit more, specialized in here. But I have nothing against it. I think that it's a cool idea. Are you picking the playing passing as a ghoul for your specialty for subterfuge?
Yes.
Perfect. That's great. Alrighty, and now we're going to some fun stuff, which is edges and perks. Now, let's start with Goldie. Goldie is everything that you do and employed in your, let's say, ways of trying to handle the problems. And in this case, of course, I'm saying problems as supernatural. Is everything you do kind of just Goldie being Goldie, like being a regular person, or is there anything supernatural within you? Do you think? Have you ever felt like there's something going beyond the natural in Goldie?
I bet right now Goldie wishes that were the case, but no, there's Goldie is as standard as they come.
All right. So edges and perks. These are the particular things that you have access to, tools you have access to during your hunt, and you can pick either one edge and two perks, or two edges and one perk at the character creation. You can take a little look at the character summary sheet, the second page in here, just to have like a little look at it. So the bold ones, the one in bold text, are the edges, and the ones below in the list are the perks. I will give you more information about them if something sounds particularly interesting, and they can be completely human in origin, but there might be some things that also are maybe a little bit weird. So for example, let's say a beast whisperer. You can be very good with animals, and that can be natural because you're very well trained in that. Or maybe, just maybe, somehow, when you go out in the streets, there's always a stray dog following you, or a stray cat following you, and you never know the source of it, but it just happens. So, well, Goldie, have you thought about your edges and perks?
I think Goldie, as I said, the garage that we're in, maybe just beyond those, I'm not sure what you call them, those plastic flaps there, would be maybe some cars that she's acquired to try and make this garage something profitable. And in that working, perhaps the fleet edge and a couple of perks to give the cell a really nice car, an untraceable and one with some good performance.
I see. This is a good idea. I just want to suggest something knowing another character's background. Miles has access to a van that has a chaos scope on top of it. So we can use that car, but it can be also a compromised car that we don't want to use. So that's up to you to decide. Access to fleet is always good, and it's always good to, like, if you have this as an edge, that's an additional perk on top of that. But we might have the vehicle part covered, so I'm just leaving it out there.
Okay, then I might have to think about it for a second.
All right, I'm going to go to Ripley then and ask you about, what do you think about your edges?
I'm not sure. I feel like Arsenal would be the one that they would push for more towards, given their aptitude for weapons.
Well, that does sound pretty Ripley, and something that could really give you an instant access to at least some kind of the arsenal, depending on whether you want to pick additional perks or not. Is there anything else on the list that speaks to you, more or less? Or the arsenal, if the arsenal is the one that is like under your main interest, and keep in mind that you can pick from assets, aptitudes, and endowments. Like, all of them are available to you.
Okay. Given their background, I would say probably sensing the supernatural would be another option. Or improvised gear.
Improvised gear could also be good. Well, you can pick either two edges and one perk, or one edge and two perks. So you can specialize in one of them. In that case, I think that could be arsenal for you, unless you want to gain your gear in a different way. But if you want to get two, I think that Sense the Unnatural and Arsenal could work well.
I think that's what I will do.
All right. Well, that will allow you to pick one perk on top of it. So if you will pick the Arsenal and Sense the Natural, they are both edges. You can put them on your sheet. And this is the choice that you have when it comes to perks. For Arsenal, you can either be able to provide the whole team with the same copy of a gun. You can have a gun that has a special features, which give you some additional perks. You can pick an exotic perk, which gives you a special one-of-a-kind weapon that is just special to you as Ripley. Or untraceable, something that no one can trace back to you, both from the ammunition and the gun itself, if anyone finds it. When it comes to Sense the Unnatural, you can either go for the specialization of a particular creature, you can go for range and make it just bigger in range, so you actually feel the supernatural as you pass through the streets that they live on. Precision, so you're able to determine exactly where the supernatural creature is. Or hands-free, you are no longer relying on an object of focus to use this edge. So this is a pretty good one. This is like the one where you can just basically feel it coming. You don't have to use any object in order to tap into it.
I like the hands-free one.
The hunter no longer needs to rely on an object to focus to use on an object of focus to use this edge. They've either learned to channel their supernatural sensitivity without the need for aid, or they've managed to miniaturize the technology to the size of an earbud. It doesn't have to be a technological thing, but it can be. Or it can also be the supernatural kind of a feeling. So again, as with all edges, they can be interpreted supernaturally or technologically naturally, like how mortals would deal with that.
I think I'll go with hands-free.
Hands-free. Do you want to treat more technologically, so you actually have some device that allows you to do that, or is it just a feeling, something supernatural?
Let's go with the gut.
Mm-hmm. All right. I get it. It's fine. Let's go to Riot. Riot, do you have any idea? Does anyone on the sheet speaks to you?
I'm really interested in Thwart the Unnatural.
Ooh. With this edge, the hunter is able to resist all manner of supernatural abilities, leaving them immune to a wide variety of harmful mental effects. Would you like to start with specializing in this edge, grabbing 2 of the perks in that?
Totally.
And you can go for creature specialization, which I think would work great for you, for vampires specifically. You can also go for ward, where you can extend the area of resistance and include other people in your cell within that ward. You can also go for recognition, which means that you will be aware of when and what exactly is supposed to happen to you, because normally it just you stop whatever the supernatural creature is doing. With recognition, you actually understand what is happening. Or again, hands-free. You are not relying on any object of focus to do that. It's just your guts, and you're able to repel the supernatural. It can be a gut, or again, it can be a technology. So however you want to interpret it.
Okay. I'm gonna ask the audience, aka Cell, would y'all prefer I take ward or recognition?
I would go with whatever works best with Riot.
Yeah, I was about to say I might have to look at your sheet and I don't want to.
First of all, you're free to peek. Second, I personally like for them, I think recognition would work, but mechanically, like to help the group, I think ward is cool too. So that's where I'm split.
We'll have a lot of other tools to help the group. You don't have to take the ward. If you feel
Yeah,
like
don't try and help us.
Who knows? Maybe we'll end up enemies. Sorry.
Both that works for the character.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. then specialization and recognition, baby.
All right. So you will go for the edge, specialization of vampire, and the recognition as the second perk. Perfect. We have it covered. What about you, Miles?
I'm thinking library, for sure.
Yes, that sounds really good. So do you feel like you would like to focus on the library? Something that we can also think about is the artifacts. If there's something
I was thinking that as well.
Yeah, maybe there's something that your brother has left you that still lingers around. And we can definitely think about that one together.
One thing that just it's in the character concept, the code. It could either be the code itself or something within, like something that he left in the pocket, something small. I don't really know what that item could be.
Mhm. We can find out about this, but the question is whether you would like to just have this artifact or also have an additional perk for it. And when it comes to perks, you can either let this artifact empower you and your dice rolls. You can either have a perk of attraction, that this artifact is attracting supernatural parties, which can be a perk, but also, trouble. Detection, and I think that could be a very good one, fitting with what Christopher did. The artifact could react to the presence of the supernatural, similarly to the sense of the unnatural edge. Or we can also go with shield, where the artifact shields the hunter from harm by supernatural forces, which is again a little bit similar to thwart the supernatural.
Detection makes the most sense, I think.
Mm-hmm. And it's good if more than one of you have the ability to detect the supernatural. So that sounds good. We can go for, if you're fine with this, 2 edges then, library and artifact, and the perk for the artifact, detection.
Sounds good.
And now we're going to skip a little bit ahead towards touchstones. And what exactly are touchstones in Hunter? They're a little bit different than in Vampire, where in Vampire they're more of an anchor that basically anchors you to the humanity and to who you were as a human. In Hunter, these are the people that you fight for. The whole hunt, of course, the drive pushes you to do that, but also you need to have some kind of a human reason in order for why you do these things. And this can be a person close to you, someone that you know personally, someone that inspires you directly, but it can also be someone who inspires you on the kind of distance. Maybe someone who doesn't really know about your existence, but you've been following them, you've been watching them for quite some time, either online or maybe in real life, maybe like going into some sort of sermons or panels that are hosted by this person. One important thing is that person has to be someone that you can keep a relative track of. So we're not talking about an actor in a Hollywood movie, we're not talking about a celebrity, we're talking about someone who lives nearby in your community, someone who you've seen in real life, and there's a chance you will stumble upon each other again. This doesn't have to be a very prominent figure either. Maybe you are inspired by the shopping clerk that you visit often. You go to the same store and there's the same person behind the counter each time, and they always greet you with a smile and they always brighten your day. That could be also that person. The touchstones mechanically in Hunter work in the way that they do not actually fuel anything except for your willing to hunt the monsters, but what is bad is when something happens to them and when you lose them. People die. Things happen to people. And World of Darkness is definitely a place where you have to worry about your touchstones because something may happen to them. And if you are in a situation where you are left without any touchstones, your character enters a permanent despair and can never heal willpower again, either superficial or the one you spend yourself, unless you find another touchstone, another reason to cling into the hunt. So, Goldie, do you have a touchstone? Do you have more than one touchstone? What is your thinking here?
Well, definitely the trainee, Vicky, who I sort of awoke this in me, and Kendra for sure.
All right. So Kendra, the one that's gathered you in the chats, is one of your touchstones, and Vicky, the person that is probably under the influence of some kind of a bloodsucker. And I do see that you've picked the edges and the perks. We're going for the Beast Whisperer, huh?
Yeah, couldn't really find one that would fit very well with Goldie, so that's what I landed on. And Goldie's not super smart and doesn't have any animal ken, so I try to avoid the ones that require that.
The animal can masterfully stay out of sight, hiding just out of observation range, or blending in for practically any situation. Unless someone looks for it, they will not know it is there.
Maybe there's a cat around the garage that Goldie feeds or something.
All right, so you were thinking cats more than
I was thinking cat, yeah.
Okay, a kitty. Oh, that sounds good. So I love this actually, because the lack of animal ken and the fact that you do have this Beast Whisperer thing means that this cat clings to you no matter how much you cannot deal with it. Maybe you hate this cat, but the cat is going to be at your side. Does it sound good?
That works for me.
Do you have a name for the cat, or is it just that asshole?
Yeah, I think I would call the cat POS.
POS.
Piece of shit.
I love that name. That's great. All right, and we do have Vicky and Kendra as your touchstones. You do not have to pick convictions. That's a vampire fix. So if any one of you thought that you have to pick convictions now, don't worry about them. This is not a thing in Hunter. All right, and let's go to a replay. What about your touchstones?
I've taken Kendra, and I'm sorting out who in their past would still be around. Because I feel like they're not originally from here, and they came here for work reasons.
Well, given Ripley's professional past, could there be someone that you worked with that could be your touchstone?
Yeah, that works. Now I have to come up with a name.
That's okay. You can think about it later on. But that's for now.
I always field for names. I can't name things.
We can sort it out later. We don't have to have a name now. But do you think it's going to be more of a colleague, someone who was on the same level as you at work, someone who stood in the same workplace while you left, or another?
I think it'll be someone that they trained and were close to, that looked up towards them. And they kind of watched over them at the time they were there, and that's why they've remained in contact.
Let's see. All right. I mean, is the person still working there, though?
Probably not anymore.
Okay. I'll keep this in mind. So, ex-coworker is fine if you just type it here, and we'll think about the name in the future. Miles, who would be your touchstone? I assume that when your brother was still there, that would be your brother, but touchstones have to be people who are still alive and still there that you can still fight for. Is there anyone like that in your life?
I'm thinking it would be a colleague, a professor who I share an office with, like office hours. I don't really have a name yet or anything about the character beyond that.
That's completely fine, but basically someone... Well, you do have a library edge, right? Is that the access to a library that you don't really have at your home, or is it your home library? Do you think about, as an edge, do you think about an external place that you have an unlimited access to, or something that you have personally in your home? Because if that would be the first one, we could make the library owner to be that person.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. So you can just type library owner. We're going to figure this out. We don't have to find a name today. And do you want to just stick with one or go with more? One is risky. More is also risky. So it's all up to you.
Could also do a student who had been struggling in one of my classes.
Oh, that's a nice idea. So, struggling for unknown reasons, but there is a struggling student that you really feel for and that you want to succeed, but it's not like they are very easy to help, right?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. We'll figure the names out later on. Riots.
I think I'm gonna give them like another quote unquote club goer. The name Catherine.
Catherine, okay. Question. Could Catherine be the one who contacted Kendra? Because Catherine was also subjected to a similar situation like yours and confessed in the conversation with Kendra, and this is how Kendra got your email address in the first place.
Oh yeah, that totally works.
Okay, perfect. So we're going for Catherine. Do you want to opt for just one touchstone, or do you want to have more?
I'll also make Kendra a touchstone.
3 people the same touchstone. Oh, I wonder what would happen if something happened to them. Anyway.
Oh no.
All right, we have Kendra and Catherine as your touchstones. And that sounds great. If any one of you haven't filled the creed fields yet, do not worry about that. This is basically the dice rolls that I will allow you to use the Desperation dice in during the hunt. But I will tell you as these dice rolls happen. Now, we have to think about the advantages and flaws. And there is a little bit of a choice in here, and plenty of things that you can choose from. Let me very quickly pick at whether the amount of them is the same as you pick in a vampire, in which case that would be 7 dots in advantages and 2 in flaws, but I need to triple check in order to make sure. Yes, we do have 7 points of advantages and 2 points of flaws that we need to pick. So, you can read them here on the help sheets. They are quite self-explanatory in most cases. Some of them may not be, and if so, I will let you know. The things that, if you played Vampire the Masquerade, things that you may not recognize is the nutritionist merit, which allows for things like solo cooking, recover quicker after a meal, or cell chef, where you actually can cook for other people in your cell, and the cell recovers quicker after that. Unseemly aura is also a new thing. So this is kind of like a supernatural aura that your character may have, simply because, like, not actually recognizing it yourself, but when a monster and a supernatural is around you, they feel like there's something wrong with you, like you're someone powerful, something different. They wouldn't actually think that you're a vampire or werewolf or whatever they are, but there's something special about you. And there's also Kron's Curse, which is a new one. Some supernatural affliction has affected you and aged you rapidly, such as a sorcerer's evil eye or having imbibed aberrant vampire blood, which means that you appear at least a decade older than you are. I'm not sure this is something that would fit any of our characters in here, but just a very interesting one to have in the background. I'm looking for, living on the edge. You're one of those people who feel compelled to take every chance to experience life at its fullest. When you are confronted with a chance to indulge in a risky temptation you haven't done before, such as snorting a new drug, imbibing vampire blood, or taking a changeling lover, you suffer a 2 dice penalty to all actions until you either partake of the new experience or the scene ends. Ripley, does it sound like you?
Yes.
Just living it out there because
It's already on the sheet.
I see.
They are living on the edge.
There's also an interesting weak-willed flaw, which will make you particularly able to be manipulated and affected by the supernatural who are trying to affect you mentally. So let me check out your sheet, Ripley. Where is it? Here. Okay, we have living on the edge. We don't have the advantages and flaws yet. Have you thought about the second flaw? Oh wait, this is the 2 dots. It's
right. A 2 dot flaw. Yes.
You don't need anything else. What about those 7 dots on the merit side that you're looking for?
I'm thinking they probably need a 3-dot contact to get a gun. I know that a 2-dot contact is a small time dealer, but I feel like 3-dot is better to have reason why they'd have guns and ammunition. And I know they have arsenal, but that's a test they have to make. Contact is a good backup.
You're right. If the test fails, you can always go for the contact. So 3-dot contact as
Yes.
someone who is the arms dealer and can actually give you something behind the contact, and that reasons very good.
And then I was looking at possibly a 2-dot mask for
So-
classification of their records.
I see. So basically, you do have a past in a particular organization that you do not want to reveal to, let's say, FBI, the police, or anyone who tries to ID you, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right. So would you say that 2-dot is something that's like on a national level? So Ripley would have gotten that from some super special source.
Could she get a mask through Kendra at all?
Kendra doesn't have that
Any resources
power
for that?
Kendra is basically like Kendra wouldn't deal with fake IDs and stuff like that. So if
Could
someone,
Ripley have met someone through that?
I'm thinking about your second touchstone.
Mm.
So that person who worked in the org with you, if you were both having this kind of a background, maybe that person was the one who initiated trying to get you a mask and would get you one.
I like that.
Do you think 1-dot or
Yeah.
2-dots? I am allowing for both if you are wondering, so it's fine if you want to take 2.
I'll take 2 and then see if I need dots somewhere else.
Okay, do it. What about resources? And everyone, you can think about that, whether you're wealthy or whether you're not wealthy. If you have no resources whatsoever, it's not that you are particularly like just, completely broke. You have no dollar to your name, but it's like you are going to struggle with any more expensive purchases. The 1-dot is basically portfolio proletariat, so a month to month, a wage to wage kind of a living. You do not have abundance of money, but it's enough to make a living. 2 would be a middle class, 3 would be rich, 4 wealthy, and 5 would be ultra rich, which I don't think is going to be any of us. But what do you think, Ripley?
I think we're going to drop the mask down 1, take 2 resources and a dot. No. We're just going to take 2 resources. Ripley is doing security work. And they are just renting a motel room currently. Kind of no stable place to live.
Okay, so you do not need to have a safe house dot.
Yeah, they would have no safe house.
Yeah. It's completely fine. It's more important for vampires to have havens. The way that we do basically houses, or again, safe houses in Hanta is for the safe house merit, but having no dots in it doesn't mean that you're homeless. And the same as with the flow. The flow is no safe house, but that doesn't mean that you're necessarily homeless. It's just that you have no security at your home. All right, so we have 7. You're done.
They are done.
Wonderful. Goldie, what about you? Ooh, I see a lot of things in here. We have a nutritionist in the cell.
I figured you must have a kitchen somewhere.
Amazing. I see. So the homeowner association on Staten Island despises you. For what reason?
In my head, it's because the where the gym and the garage are probably was trying to be gentrified, and Goldie jumped in there and got the place before they could turn it into a residential area, and she refuses to sell and refuses to move, and they just hate her.
You are getting so much mail. So much mail, just, calls, like...
It goes right in the oven while I make my campus stew.
Yeah, and also there are people, a very well-dressed people, usually with a little bit of a beer belly or just like sunglasses and baseball caps outside of your gym, taking pictures and trying to specifically angle it so if there's a homeless person in the street that they can actually, have a homeless person with your gym in the background in the same photo and similar. And
They also get Goldie flipping the bird at him in the picture too.
And whenever you go to the borough office for any reason, there's a person there that just like, oh, Goldie, we received so much mail about you, and there's just like this pile of, of stuff and these pictures, like basically just folders of pictures taken outside of your gym, but nothing has happened out of that yet. Just that you're very much pestered by them.
Yeah, we'll worry about it when the time comes.
All right. Safe house, resources, fame, contacts, drug dealer. What is about that?
I had this idea since Goldie has got no medicine that maybe she knows somebody who can get like some oxys, some Lortab, something to dull pain.
So was Goldie indulging herself, or was it more of a...
Nah, I think it was probably just so many fights and obviously a lot of underground fights, no real medical care available on site that Goldie just got used to. If she had a pain, you pop a hydrocodone and you carry on with your day.
Difficult question, but has anyone ever got addicted out of that?
Goldie, no, but probably a lot of people around her.
Okay. So Goldie doesn't feel particularly guilty about doing that. It's just a part of the job. Okay. All right. I'll keep it in mind. And now let's go to Miles. Do you have any ideas for your advantages and flaws?
Advantages, not so sure about the flaws. I was thinking for the credentials using brother's identity, the identity of someone who is now deceased, that would probably raise some flags.
Oh, definitely. Well, the flaw would be either a person of interest in here, so your biometrics, name, history, known associates, and aliases appear in several intelligence agency databases flagged as a potential terrorist, which would be kind of interesting for Miles to get to know that about his brother. That's some organizations actually put him on a list. There can also be a serial error, so this is something we can reinterpret to work with you. This is just a one-dot flaw, but basically, originally in the book it says that someone somewhere made a mistake in your identity, and whenever someone does a background check on you, there's like either you're on a dangerous watch list or there's something wrong in there. We can reinterpret that specifically for your character background as the one-dot flaw, or maybe I will actually give you a two-dot flaw of identifying yourself as the deceased person. But it's going to be a one-dot if no one else knows about Christopher's death, and a two-dot flaw if you think someone may know.
It'd probably be known.
Okay, so do you have any other family? Anyone who would look for Christopher? Did Christopher have a family?
He wouldn't have had a family of his own outside of our immediate parents and possibly another sibling.
And I assume that parents would definitely file for a missing person, file to the police. So
Absolutely.
All right. So people are looking for Christopher, and you are actively masking as Christopher. So yeah, I would say two-dot flaw, and we're going to call the flaw mask Christopher or something similar. This is a bit of a homebrew, but I think it fits very well. All right. And now you still have 7 dots to use as your advantages, as your merits. And here we can go multiple ways. For example, with linguistics, if you feel like Miles will be the person who knows more than your birth language and the language that dominates in the place you're in, which will be English, You can pick more languages that you would speak. Another thing that I feel could work with Miles in particular could be the person, the librarian guy that you have as your touchstone could be your contact, who would be able to provide you with some special information that you cannot get in any other way. And this will be guaranteed through like a combination of the fact that that person is your touchstone and that you have the advantage in that.
Yeah, that works for me.
What about the resources? Would Miles be middle class?
Yeah, he'd be middle class.
All right, then we have 2 dots for sure in that. So you can spend 2 dots on resources. And then for contacts, well, that's up to you. We can go for either from 1 to 3 dots, depending on what kind of a value the information that the contact would be able to provide you would be. 1 is basically just, like the book gives examples as a weed dealer, a car salesman. The 2 would be a small-time gun dealer, veterinarian, while 3 would be security system experts, orc strike team, marksman, narcotics agents. I feel like if we want that librarian to have access to an actual occult knowledge, that would be free.
That makes sense.
All right, so you can go for contacts and 3 dots. And we still have 2 to spend, so let me see what we can give you in here. Well, 1 suggestion I could have for you is the safe house, but in your case, we would also do something special, in which the safe house would be the van. Christopher's van has the thing where it's just completely neutral, completely blending in. It's not standing out whatsoever from other cars on the street. So it's the kind of a car you would completely like skip when you are watching the road. So I would actually suggest the safe house to be your van, now yours van, which will be just 1 dot, but that's something that we can also improve.
I'll take it. And linguistic makes sense as well. I could probably take Spanish.
That sounds perfect. All right, and we have 7 now for everyone. Is everyone finished with the merits and flaws?
Mhm.
Riots. What do we have in here? We have beautiful, I see. Of course you are.
Yeah, beautiful, rich, and fame.
That's a perfect combo. That's literally amazing. But we also have something super interesting. Can you tell me more about the stigmata?
I just thought that would be fun since we might be dealing with some bloodsuckers, and maybe she just bleeds a little bad, from my understanding, as hunter stigmata compared to vampire.
I feel like, but the question is, did it happen to Riot beforehand? I accept both of the answers, so it might have happened to you beforehand, or maybe now that you were kind of, we're in touch with a supernatural creature, in particular a vampire, something happened to Riot, and this is not going to, like, this never happened before, and this might come in play during your story. What do you feel?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like to think it's happened after. Like, this is something new to them.
And what about that stalker?
Now I did do it just for the doc, just to fill out flaws, but I would love for them to have, it could be supernatural or not, but just either a fan that's a little too involved, it being Staten Island, being like New York as a city, people can get a little weird, and especially with that fame, maybe it's a negative effect of those 2 dots.
I see. Can you describe to me very quickly how exactly are you famous? In what field? Is it just that you are a very like reputable party goer? Maybe an influencer that actually documents everything on Insta or TikTok? What is your field of fame?
you nailed it right on the head. Influencer, club goer, pretty much highlights spots and like records and does vlogging and things like that, which ties into the fame, mostly brand deals.
Okay, what is your social media of choice?
Um, what did the kids do these days? Probably Instagram and TikTok.
That sounds good. All right, so you have plenty of following. I mean, this is Staten Island, it's not like someone with 1,000 followers could be really like standing out, but with your two dot fame, we're talking about like 30 to 60K followers and growing, and some virals on TikTok that people around share, some invitations for partnerships that show up in your inbox every day. Can you promote this item? Can you promote that item? Do you reply to these at all?
For the most part, things that seem the most advantageous.
All right. And when it comes to the chronicle tenets, we're going to drive back in here a little bit. So this is something that we're all going to share. And we're going to, I suggest, because our team is a little bit mixed. Like, we have people who are coming from academic background like Miles, but also the sort of influencer vibe like Riot. Goldie, you have a very intense past with a lot of things in Ripley. You also been through a lot of stuff, but correct me if I'm wrong, I do not think that like any of you has any sort of a very much of a different moral standpoint from what could be the general human do not hurt, do not kill, do not hurt the innocent. Does it sound right? Goldie, I know that you have a little bit of a shady things in your past, but what do you think?
I think, yeah, Goldie's probably a little bit more morally gray than you would want in a person, but I don't think she would want to actively harm anyone.
All right. Ripley, is there anything in your moral code that kind of stands out from a regular person?
Honestly, I would say that they don't have anything that stands out.
All right. So you are like, I do assume that you're passing the org and the way that you were able to use firearms has maybe affected a bit of you. But have you ever killed anyone? And
I
mean
would,
human,
like
mortal.
humans.
Yeah.
There might have been an accident or two, but that wasn't their goal.
Okay. So that felt bad, and you still
Yes.
feel guilty about that.
Yes.
Right. Riots. You're beautiful, you're rich, and you're famous. That does change people's morality sometimes. Probably more often than sometimes. But with your background, do you feel like you became more cold, more materialistic, or is your moral code still kind of in the middle? Like, do not hurt people, do not like reach your goals over someone else's harm. Does that sound like Riot?
I feel like they're definitely more jaded, but not exactly cutthroat, if that makes sense. Like a light gray.
I see, yeah. And especially, like, maybe it was more gray or more dark at some point, but after meeting the supernatural, like, the evil when you see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. What about you, Miles? How is your moral grounds? How would you describe it?
I would describe it as fairly neutral. With the introduction of the supernatural, it would be slightly skewed towards the darker as time goes on, just learning what's out there and how it affects people.
I see that. Well, it seems like we're not going to diverge from the like pretty basic medical tenets, in which will mean that you'll try your best not to hurt the innocent, not to cause any harm to people who are not in any way connected to the quarry, and as well as you will not kill people, because killing people seems to be bad. Now, if this happens, we're going to deal with the consequences, and what these consequences are going to be, well, if a thing happens, you'll find out. But these are going to be our critical tenets. Now, with the critical tenets in Hansa, you can use them in multiple ways. This is how we're going to use them at our table as the general moral standpoint. And if the characters are going to break it, the things inside the cell may break. That's how I'm going to play it at our table. You can also just use them, especially if you're playing in like a bigger environment, maybe on Discord, maybe on like some chat groups, as absolute no-nos. So people cannot do these things. They cannot, for example, hurt other players. Yeah, not hurting other cellmates is something that I'm also going to put in there. And if any one of you tries, consequences. And we'll see what these consequences will be. All right. Well, when it comes to your age, date of birth, appearance, and all the rest, I will let you solve this on your own, in your own time, as we are going to wind down after this session. And we're going to start the next one from the story. We're going to drop right into the action. But as we part today, I want to leave you with this knowledge. The Discord group that was started in between you and Kendra, the initial conversation, as much as it was interesting, and Kendra seemed to be very much open about her own motivations of opening it, it quickly died down. After just a day of the group's existence, Kendra was not replying anymore to anything on Discord. Now, her status appeared to be offline, and you weren't sure whether maybe she's busy with some things, or maybe there is something more to it. Maybe she got discouraged about your initial reaction. But the group seems to be dead. There are no replies, and the conversation, at least from the Kendra side, doesn't continue. And what are going to be the effects of that, we're going to see on our next session. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I'll see you in the official session 1 for Hunter Garage, Hunter the Reckoning Chronicle, next time.